All right. Well, good morning, everyone. This meeting is now called to order. Ms. Gainer, will you introduce our
Great.
I'll start over here with Dr. David Carlston, who is our chair of the Faculty Senate. Barry Maka is our general counsel. Lee Kipple is director of internal audit. Chris Stovall is our controller. Valerie Maxwell is director of budget and management. We have with us Vice President Tony Vidmar. Over here we have Provost James Johnson, Vice President Keith Lamb. We have Rhonda McClung, who is Assistant Vice President for Gift Planning and Development. And Kyle Williams, who is our Athletics Director. Angie Gray, who is Chair of the Staff Senate. We have with us Lynette Watts, who is President of the Alumni Association. Lana Sweeten Schultz, who's a reporter for the Times Record News, and Cindy Ashlock, Executive Assistant to the President.
Thank you very much. Ms. Vidmar, I believe you have a special introduction for us this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to introduce Rhonda Tally McClung.
Go ahead and come up here.
Yes, Put you in the hot seat right away, Rhonda.
I watched the video yesterday. I know how to
Well, we are pleased to have Rhonda here. Rhonda McClung is a native from Texoma. She actually worked here at Midwestern, has a lot of family ties, and worked as Director of Institutional Advancement from 1998 to 2000. She's held a lot of leadership positions in over 22 years in fundraising, including a good time in a variety of positions at Angelo State. She started their planned giving program at Angelo State, also was at Belmont University in Nashville. And we are looking forward to having her give us some leadership in starting the gift planning portion of our campaign, and really the first comprehensive gift planning program for Midwestern State University. So glad to have Rhonda here, and she's settling in.
to be back.
And the other thing was interesting is poor Rhonda came in on the day that we didn't have quite the administrative coverage we had, but she's been very flexible already in our office.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here. I appreciate it. It's a lot of the same people are here, and there's a lot of new people, so it's interesting. So if y'all have any questions for me or want to call me sometime and give me suggestions of people who think you think or would be interested in a playing gift, let me know.
Very good.
Great. Glad to have you here, Rhonda.
Thank you.
Welcome. Well, welcome back to MSU.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing great things.
Thank you.
Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for your participation in our committee meetings yesterday. Ms. Burks is unable to join us today due to death in her family. So if you want to reach out to her, you can appreciate it. Just a reminder to silence your devices as the meeting is being streamed live on the internet. It appears no one signed up to provide public comment, so we'll move on. Item 17-148 is approval of the minutes of the May 11th and 12th meetings of the board. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, they will stand approved as presented. We'll now move on to consent agendas. The executive committee met yesterday, and our report is as follows. Item presented for committee approval only is 17-116 committee minutes. Items presented for information only 17-117 campus construction update. 17-118 honorific and gift-related namings. Items approved by committee and placed on consent agenda. 17-119 is the Moffett Library renovation project. Approve the project cost. Approve Holtzman, Moss, Patino Architecture to design the project, and authorize the president to increase the budgeted and contracted amounts by an amount not to exceed 5% of the board-approved amount as presented. 17-120 Texas Accessibility Standards ADA and Fire Marshal Upgrades project. Guaranteed maximum price approval, authorized issuance of a contract at a GMP not to exceed $4.4 million as presented. 17-121, Gunning College of Health Sciences and Human Services building project, authorized the issuance of a contract with the construction manager at risk for the site package at GMP not to exceed $9.5 million as presented. 17-122, the strategic plan, approved MSU strategic plan 2017 through 2022 as presented, and authorized the president to move forward with the planning process based on strategies presented with the understanding that the aspects of the plan that will entail construction or initiatives outside the approved budget will require formal board action at the appropriate time. 17-123, the Wichita Falls Museum of Art at MSU Advisory Board. Approve the board members as presented. I recommend approval of these consent agenda items as presented. Would anyone like to remove items from the consent agenda? If not, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Givney, please present the Academic and Student Affairs Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Academic and Student Affairs Committee met yesterday, and our report is as follows. One item was for committee approval only, and that was 17-124, the committee minutes. 6 items were presented for information only, 17-125, the faculty report, 17-126, the staff report, 17-127, the student government report, 17-128, the athletics report, 17-129, the enrollment reports for the summer of 2017, and 17-130, the Dallas-Fort Worth expansion update. The following items were approved by the committee and placed on the consent agenda. 17-131, the August 2017 graduating class. Approve the list of candidates for graduation. 17-132, approval of 2018-2019 academic calendar. Approve the calendar as presented. And finally, item 17-133, the academic department reorganization and name change. Approve the reorganization and renaming of academic departments as presented. Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of these consent agenda items as presented.
Would anyone like to remove items from the consent agenda for further discussion? If not, the committee chair's recommended approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Gregg, please present the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Sanfield. The Finance Committee met yesterday. Our report is as follows. Item presented for committee approval only was 17-134 committee minutes. Item presented for information only was 17-135 summary of financial support and comprehensive campaign update. Items approved by committee and placed on consent agenda 17-136 financial reports. We accepted the monthly financial reports for April through June of 17. 17-137 investment report. We accepted the third quarter 17 investment report. 17-138 investment policy review. We approved investment policies 4.182 and 4.196 without change. 17-139 approval of broker dealers, investment vehicles, asset holding accounts. Approval list is presented. 17-140 university accounts and signature authorizations. Approved signature authorizations as presented. 17-141 personnel reports and changes in the fiscal year 17 budget. We ratified the changes presented. 17-142 operating budget for fiscal year 18. We approved the $117,193,719 operating budget for fiscal year 18 as presented. Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of these consent agenda items as presented.
Would anyone like to remove items from the consent agenda for further discussion? If not, the committee chair has recommended approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Hessen, please present the Audit Compliance and Management.
The Audit Compliance and Management Review Committee met yesterday, and our report is as follows. Item presented for committee approval only, 17-143 committee minutes. Items presented for information only, 17-144 compliance activities update, 17-145 audit activities update. 2 items approved by committee and placed on the consent agenda, 17-146 fiscal year 2018 audit plan, approved plan as presented. 17-147 Office of Internal Audit's charter, approved the charter as presented. Chairman Sanchez, I recommend approval of these consent agenda items as presented.
Would anyone like to remove items from the consent agenda for further discussion? If not, the committee chair has recommended approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Item 17-149, Board of Regents meeting dates for 2017-2018. The proposed meeting dates for the coming year are listed in the board book. Is anyone aware of any conflicts for those dates as of right now? If not, they are approved as presented. Item 17-150, the President's report and discussion of higher education issues.
Thank you. I thought since 2 years ago today, I was probably driving past St. Louis on my way here, and I had one dog in my car, and Randy had another dog in his car, and we had no idea what we were heading toward. I thought I'd do a little retrospective to tell you first what my favorite things have been, and then talk a little bit about the challenges that we've begun to meet and that still lie ahead of us. My favorite things really were the surprise of how deeply talented this institution is. The main thing I look for as a president is a type of leadership that is dispersed across the institution. So for me, that means strong governance systems. It means a strong dean's council. It means strong student leadership, a strong staff senate, faculty senate, and it means strong department chairs and talented faculty. Because I think when you disperse your leadership across the institution, and you can have vice presidents who can take the role of a president in meetings and have the same leadership capacity as the president, you have a consistently strong institution. And I found that when I got here, and I've really enjoyed trying to just extend that leadership across the institution, and it's been, I believe, very well met. My other favorite things might be little things to you, but they speak of the culture and sense of community we have. You may know that we have these difficult summer hours where the staff arrives at 7 and goes home at 6 in order to have a long weekend and do something different in the summer. And to break that up, the staff thought of a really neat idea called Summer Sizzlers. And they're just departments deciding we're going to serve watermelon, or we're going to serve barbecue, or we're going to serve lemonade, or have an ice cream social. And they happen regularly throughout the summer, and it's such a super way to kind of dissolve the silos that we create during the year where we're all busy doing our own little tasks. And you'll just have people wander over to these different departments and engage in a social hour. I just think that's wonderful. My very most fulfilling memories come, of course, when we have our research day, where you get to see the work of the faculty with our students. We have small class sizes, and we have very intensive interactions between faculty and students. And as they grow into their junior and senior year, our students are led to have undergraduate research projects that are very hands-on guided projects by our faculty. And then we kind of stop everything for a day in the fall and in the spring. And the first half of one day, we look at all of our graduate research projects. And the second day is devoted entirely to our undergraduate research projects. And the faculty present, the students present, we have competitions, and it's just something I'm hoping the board we'll be sure to invite you every year. I really hope the board members get to experience that, because it is the moment when you see, I think even more than commencement, it's the moment when you see how our investment in students pay off. The other things I've been really excited about were how effective our committee work is. So you saw the strategic plan, you'll see in November some of the work that we've done with our financial aid and admissions task force. There was a very helpful museum committee that mapped out how we create a stronger bridge between the museum and the university so that we optimize the presence of this great resource on our campus. And I have found that with every committee we set, and I'm not a big fan of committees because it's taking people away from one sort of work, and you don't want to overload people with too much of the committee work. Every single committee I've seen has acted with great respect for its deliberation, with a keen sense of what its results can do to guide our institution, and I just hope that continues. That's a wonderful, wonderful resource. So what's the work ahead of us? I think the challenges that I identified early continue. The first is growth. I think we've seen from the losses we faced with the legislative budget process that growth is task number one for us. And what I've really enjoyed about our approach is we had already started down a path of recognizing the role of retention and growth. You can go out and recruit lots and lots of students. If you don't keep them here, you've wasted a lot of effort, and you've delayed students' progress through a degree. So we've got some really good activities stacked up for retention. You'll be hearing a lot more about those. I think they're a centerpiece of what we do, but we have to get serious and a bit more aggressive about growth. The items we've lined up hopefully will lead us to good growth this year. We need to double down on that growth and accelerate it as much as we can because we've lost ground that we need to make up. You have to be careful in higher ed not to create destabilizing change. If you move too quickly, if you leave the community behind, if you try things that don't mesh with your community, you can defray the mission and the identity. And what I hope we will do is move solidly toward a future with a really good pace and a sense of urgency, but not leave behind some of the great things we've already created with our identity. One sense of the growth, of course, will be identity, and we've worked hard on identity. It's going to be a major emphasis this year, and you saw it in the strategic plan, the sense that the whole university community is ready for this. There's been great excitement around the brand extension, MSU Texas. I think MSU Texas, as a delineator of us, will help us grow and cement our identity. But our identity is really linked to that liberal arts mission. And what we've begun to work on is rephrasing that liberal arts mission in terms people can understand. So you're going to hear more about 21st century practices, 21st century strategies, 21st century learning, and we'll delineate what that means, and they're really best practices in the liberal arts. It's all about communicating well, teamwork, undergraduate research, critical thinking, leadership. And you'll hear more about high-impact practices, and that's the way we get to those 21st century skills, which is an engaged sort of learning. When you toured the Mass Comm building yesterday, you saw how important incidental learning is now. That doesn't mean the faculty in the classroom is not important, but this is a very social generation. They like to learn in clusters. They like to learn over food. They like to learn incidentally, casually, socially. So what you see in a lot of new buildings is that extension from the classroom out into social spaces, into our residence halls, the extension of where learning takes place. And I think we're really well equipped for that when you see what's going to happen with the library, when you see the campus planning we've done. So I think our identity will really grow the clearer we are with that focus, and that's task number 2 after growth. And then the final task, and of course the strategic plan will help with that. The final task we face really is influence. And to see our influence grow will also mean that we have better legislative support. I think our alumni are going to play a leading role in that. I think as we engage alumni in our capital and our comprehensive campaign, we'll also be engaging them in political action. And I think the next 2 years will be based in part on what our alumni can do for us and how well we communicate with them our need for their engagement. So the dogs, Randy and I, look forward to another great year, 2 years. Finally, I'd just like to say the biggest surprise of the whole of coming here was how kind people were at the inauguration. I think there's a real affection here for the person of the president and the role of the presidency, and I think we need to continue that respect and affection so that I reflect how wonderfully warm and welcoming this community is, not only the community of the university, but of the city. And I think that will stand us in good stead as we move ahead. That's my report. Happy to be here.
Well, we're sure happy you're here.
Go Mustangs.
Well, we look forward to great things. Thank you for that report. Is there anything else to come before the board this morning? Well, if not, that concludes our business today. So our next regular
Don't say a word.
our next regular board meeting will be November 9th and 10th. So we are officially adjourned. Thank you.